In the early days of racing, safety wasn't as important, mostly because the cars couldn't go fast enough to hurt the drivers. As the speeds increased though, the level of safety did not follow suit. When they were designing the cars, the designers usually disregarded safety if it meant that the car would go faster. Also, at many tracks, the only safety barrier between the track and the spectators were hay bales. Obviously, this was not very safe. After a while, safety finally started to improve. Better barriers were installed, the cars were built of stronger, safer materials, and the drivers wore more safety gear. Before you knew it, drivers were emerging unscathed from crashes that previously would have killed them. One big improvement in safety was the head and neck support, or HANS device. The HANS device is something that sits on the driver's shoulder and is attached to the helmet by tethers. It prevents the driver's head from moving too much in a crash. Here's an example of a crash test with and without a HANS device. In the first video, look at how little the driver's head moves. The HANS device keeps the driver's head still so he doesn't suffer a concussion. In the second video, look at how much the driver's head moves. His head is not restricted and moves a lot faster and more violently, and as a result he is more easily prone to severe head injuries. It's fair to say that without the HANS device, crashes like this wouldn't be survivable. Although safety has been greatly improved in recent years, there is still a lot of work to be done to protect drivers. The main source of injuries in racing today is head injuries. Open wheel racing is especially dangerous because the drivers' heads are exposed. In the past 6 years, there have been at least 4 deaths in open wheel racing. Henry Surtees, Dan Wheldon, Jules Bianchi, and Justin Wilson were all killed by severe head injuries sustained while racing. Felipe Massa also fractured his skull in 2009 when he was hit in the head by a spring, but survived and returned to racing in 2010. There are 2 ideas to make open wheel racing safer. The first one was designed by the Mercedes Formula One team. This concept protects the driver from large incoming objects and allows for easy exit from the car in case of a flip or fire. The second concept was developed by the FIA, which is the organization that runs the Formula One World Championship. This provides better protection for the driver but hinders their view more. These concepts will be easy to implement into the current cars and would protect the drivers effectively. The FIA tested the idea of putting jet fighter canopies onto the cars, but this happened. They decided it wasn't safe because it could fling debris into the stands and injure the spectators. It's obvious that it's necessary to implement closed cockpits in open-wheel cars. There have been far too many deaths and injuries in recent years despite the vast improvements in safety. If either one of the first 2 concepts shown had been implemented, Henry Surtees, Justin Wilson, and probably Dan Wheldon would still be with us today. They were struck by large objects at speed, objects that could have easily been deflected by a closed cockpit. The Mercedes and FIA concepts are the best options for closed cockpits. They are easily implemented, proven by the fact that they were demonstrated using a model of a current Formula One car. This means there wouldn't have to be a whole redesign of the car to be able to implement it, thus saving money. Closed cockpits are the future for open wheel racing. They could prevent the only major danger left in motorsports: head injuries. No one wants to turn on the TV and watch someone die in a high-speed accident. This is the most effective way of making sure that doesn't happen. Thanks for watching, and in all of the crashes shown, all of the drivers were all alright, so don't worry.